phone calls from individuals in the hot. In fact, I did a week ago. A lady had slipped and fallen in her shower, and she's calling me from her hospital bed.
Oh
I'm still
wow.
happy to help her,
Right.
obviously, right? But it breaks my heart because that was so preventative,
Right.
And so anybody with tile floor that there's moisture present,
Mm-hmm.
and like we were saying on the first episode, right? Ice cube falls overnight. A dog, a pet gets up and drinks water, and you have to get up and use the restroom. And there's water on the floor, and you can't even see it. The only way to help that, make that better, is to make the floor safe.
Right. Increase that coefficient of friction.
Exactly.
Don't make it taller. Like you're looking at the table here and there's a tile on here. If you can imagine if this was a rug and if you've ever lazy footed it, I did it in Publix
Oh
the other
yeah,
day, right?
absolutely.
Just forgot to pick my toes up. Anything more than a quarter of an inch, and I would actually beg to differ that I would go even less than that, even an eighth of
Sure.
an inch, if you just don't pick your foot up, or if you pick your foot up and then it bunches up,
Yes.
right, and then you
Yep.
can never get that foot back on the ground. That's where you end up running into the problem. So
Yep.
it doesn't do any good to take a slippery surface like a tile and then put something on top of it because
Right.
that thing is going to slide too. Even a rubber mat, right?
100, yes, absolutely. When there's moisture in between two surfaces, it's like changing from pavement to gravel,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
It's the same. It's a transition.
I remember I fell going into a patient's house one time because he was like, "Oh, just come in through the garage,"
Right.
and I come hauling in because it was
Yep.
raining outside. It was Florida, right?
Yep.
So I parked in the driveway, grabbed my bag. I come hauling into the garage,
Yep.
and he had the flakes and everything,
Yeah.
but it wasn't non-slip.
Yep.
There was nothing about that made it less slippery.
Yeah. It's
You
funny
know.
you say the flakes because there's a big company in town
Hmm.
that does a lot of flake systems, and they're beautiful aesthetically, but it's really meant for a garage, not like a pool deck surface. But I get a lot of calls and I get a lot of business apply a non-slip clear coating over the top of that
Yeah.
in garages, in carports,
Hmm.
and on pool decks.
Yeah, and I've actually found myself actually recommending you in the case where people have concrete ramps.
Yes.
There was a gentleman actually down here in Middleburg that had substantial concrete ramps poured. He
Yep.
didn't want, well, actually, yeah. So it was on Black Creek. He didn't want anything else done,
Right.
and he had the forms made. He must have worked in concrete. I never did
Yeah.
ask him, but he's like everything could have been made out of concrete. That's what he
Right.
wanted to do,
Yep.
and his wife needed a ramp, and so he had this massive concrete ramp poured, and it was extremely slippery.
Yeah.
So
Well, that's a
then,
perfect job for me because I do have coatings. On the first episode, we talked about tile treatments
hmm
that increase the traction,
hmm
but for concrete, there's so many good non-slip options in terms of coatings that hold up
hmm
for decades.
and then we talked about wood a little bit. There's ways that you
Yep.
can treat the wood,
Yep.
and then you mentioned pool decks, right?
Yes, sir.
I always like to talk about pool decks because we live in Florida. There's a lot of people with pools, and people don't realize that if they want to have therapy in their pool, right? A
You got to get
therapist,
there safely
right?
first.
Yeah, a therapist can go and do therapy with you in the pool. You have to have a way of getting out in an emergency,
Yep.
but a lot of times people don't even use their pool anymore
Right.
because they're afraid they're going to fall. So you can treat pool decks of all different textures.
Yeah. Yeah. I've done a myriad. I mean, the most common pool deck is concrete
Hmm.
with like a cool decking.
Right,
But at this juncture, they're 20 plus years old.
right.
And so they need to be brought back to life. And we can do that without grinding the top coat, which is what most of my competitors do.
Okay.
Yep.
All right. And then I do remember somebody asking me about the grout, right? So
Okay.
if you go into the house and the grout is dirty, you clean the grout before you
Well,
do.
it's actually the tile treatment itself. You will never find a more aggressive cleaner than the treatment that I use. So
Right.
I'm not specifically getting down there and cleaning the grout. It's just the treatment in of itself.
Is going to clean the
Clean it,
grout,
yes.
but it doesn't change the color of the
It does
grout.
not.
Okay.
No.
All right. So I mean, I'm hitting you with the
Yeah,
questions that
no, it's
everybody
great.
hits me with, right?
Yep.
Because they're always curious. Okay, so now what about a bathtub? It's not
So
tile, right?
yeah,
It's
right.
ceramic.
Yep. So there's either a coating or the tile treatment works on certain bathtubs. Some of the older ones,
Hmm.
The cast iron, I can actually treat those, but the newer fiberglass ones need a coating. But I get those all the time, just like the shower bins, the
Hmm.
fiberglass. I can also put a coating on
Okay.
those.
Yeah, because I don't trust those nubby
No.
bottoms on those things, man. Those things get wet, and if I'm wearing even a pair of
Yeah.
running shoes, it's like
Right.
super slippery.
Yeah.
Or they fill up with mildew and dead skin and
The
everything
best
like
thing is
that.
the stickers, like the foot stickers and
Oh
all.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah. I end up
yeah.
peeling off. Some people were like, I've had those on there for 5 years. Can you take those off? And they're so discolored.
Oh
But
yeah.
we absolutely will remove those.
Awesome. Awesome. Well, that's been our second segment of 7 Minutes for Seniors. I'm Chris. This is Blaine. Make sure you reach out to him, don'tslip.com, and check back with us tomorrow for the third segment. Take care.
All right. Thank you.